Please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? As we're in the month of Pride Month, it seemed only right I address the Renaissance attempt of a creator that prided themselves on making content for children and families. A channel on YouTube called Queerkidstuff, active more notably these days on TikTok, also called Queerkidstuff or QKS. Recently they announced that they had some things in the works. Now, their TikTok, a lot of the content is the old content from YouTube re-uploaded to TikTok because they got battered from pillar to post on YouTube by, well, for example, Drunken Uncle, who made a lot of response videos to Queerkidstuff. In this, they're re-uploading it at very specific times to generate additional traffic, which is totally fine, because if you can get 100,000 views within 1 month and hit 10k followers, you get monetized now. I was led to believe it was 100,000 followers, but it turns out I was wrong. On their TikTok, they recently uploaded the following. This video teased that something was in the works, perhaps an attempt to be made, the engine being fired up, when Linz said the following.
All I'm going to say is mark your calendars for May 28th. Operation Reboot Queerkidstuff is a go.
Well, how incredibly exciting. Would I be right to assume that we're going to get a renaissance from all the other channels that were typically considered SJW by nature? Or is it just Queerkidstuff? Now, I know the answer to this already. I'm just positing that typically there is a cycle to the discourse. And since politically there is a rise in what is dubbed far-right populism, it would seem appropriate that in the online space, more left-leaning ideals start to push to the surface to push back against the populism. Personally, I would rather see all these differing political ideals of the more extreme variety especially sat in a room together with their respective avatars of choice, debating which tea goes best with a hobnob. There is only one. Put it in the comments. The correct answer will be pinned. Now, the Queerkidstuff TikTok doesn't get much in the way of views. Bit like mine, yes, I have an Omegon one as well. But I don't upload anywhere near as often as they do, and a lot of what I upload is more current event. Theirs is more choosing the right time to upload to maximize potential. I mentioned earlier rehashing all the old content during Pride Month, more notably. That's not a dig, it is a statement of what is fact. Verifiably so when one goes and looks at the Queerkidstuff TikTok. And by the way, if you do decide you want to go there and look at the content, please do not leave any aggressive, hateful comments. I do not condone it, and I will happily do my thing here instead. Exhibit A will be proof of why I'm not overly fond of Queerkidstuff.
There's nothing wrong with loving who you are, 'cause they made you perfect. Hold your head up, girl, and you'll go far. Listen to me when I say you're beautiful.
On the face of it, that message can be considered quite neutral, really. However, because of the nature of what Queerkidstuff is, it can equally be considered massively problematic to teach these concepts to children who cannot comprehend. And you may have noticed there were some very young kids who just heard music and were wiggling to it. They wouldn't understand what was being said in the slightest. So essentially the song is lip service for the parents. Back when Queerkidstuff was considered relevant on YouTube, I made it a point not to respond to them because, in truth, I couldn't think of a way to articulate my annoyance that they existed in a way that could mesh well with the more politically correct language that we have to use on YouTube. Because I had a number of criticisms, and how inappropriate it would be to make that kind of content targeting to children, targeted towards children, put me in a very odd spot. Especially when Linz, the ruler, along with the teddy bear, of Queerkidstuff, advocates a very pro-LGBTQ and all the other letters stance when it comes to children. My line is, children should never be involved at any step of that way. Now, the video that caught my attention and made me consider doing this video in the first place is actually a video we haven't seen yet. and it's the announcement of the return of Queer Kid Stuff, and that's where we're going to go next.
It's finally time to bring back Queer Kid Stuff.
There are a number of things I want to say. Firstly, I found that when you stop being a creator for a time and you come back, it's not as easy as simply coming back. But this could be where the inspiration comes in. In the case of Queer Kid Stuff, it could be that the messages now can be recycled and reused because enough time has passed. Several years, in fact. Which means that these videos can be considered more relevant to the discourse of today. Current year, as it were. Another point to make is you technically never stopped being Queer Kid Stuff because you were active on TikTok making your content there. Whether it be your activism or sharing content with tags of Queer Kid Stuff. You used the channel name Queer Kid Stuff on TikTok as well, so it didn't go anywhere really, but the format of the content did change. So how are you going to bring back Queer Kid Stuff since it never went anywhere?
We're launching a Kickstarter campaign to reboot the web series so we can keep spreading queer joy and combat hate.
So I've taken the liberty of going over to Kickstarter here. As you can see, there is a goal of £58,855. In dollars, that would be $75,000 to bring back Queer Kid Stuff to YouTube. That is a lofty amount. Would I be right to surmise that this would be an annual salary of being able to get by? Does this include the minimum wage that's caused massive downturn in hours available with employers? Would this apply to you as well? Now, you have 16 days to go. You have £4,385. Well done. You have 92 backers. Congratulations. You can probably make one video with that if you're lucky. This award-winning LGBTQ+ preschool web series to combat hate, spread queer joy wasn't all that successful back when you started it. But it's okay, everyone. There's more of a chance of Linz completing this series than there was ever of others doing Kickstarters like Anita Sarkeesian, who never fulfilled any of the pledges from their campaigns. I'm not going to mock too hard, but I'm going to point out that at present, on your TikTok, for example, you don't get much in the way of traffic. So to set a goal of $75,000 to bring back Queer Kid Stuff is a bit bold. If you had a bigger audience, or you were pulling in greater numbers, I'd agree. I earlier showed off the Pay Off Debt Pride video you singing for 15-16 seconds. It got 154 views, and your goal with that is to get to 10k so you can use the funds from views to help bring back, Queer Kid Stuff. You don't have the pull you once had, and you didn't have much in the way of pull to begin with. You'd have more chance if your intention with Queer Kid Stuff was to pay a vet bill for Teddy, because I'm sure people would actually donate to that just for the bants, and not because they support your message of what is or is not appropriate to teach to children. And in yours, preschool doesn't resonate with the casual audience. But do continue.
We're going to bring Queer Kid Stuff to life like never before, with new music, animated segments, field trips to awesome places like your local LGBT center, or even a gender-affirming doctor's office.
I'm going to be that person, and I do this on Omegon too quite a bit. There is nothing remotely appropriate about any of that when it concerns the subject of children. Essentially, your videos are more of a niche market for parents who want to enable this with their children. And that's why it doesn't resonate so well, or did not back then, and certainly does not now. Again, appealing to the wider audience, this is not the way to go about it. Gender-affirming care and doctors' offices as an appointment is a brave choice again. The same are going to LGBTQ centres. It looks like in politics, on social media, there has been a rise in more open discussion and discourse concerning what is or is not appropriate around children. The content of Queer Kid Stuff would be argued to be not.
It's gonna be awesome!
Teddy sounds better when you rehearse the voice.
And we want to expand the series into conversations around how queer issues and kids come together across all social justice movements.
Now, this is something I have directly responded to in the past, I think on Rumble, of all places, where the idea that children are marginalised, therefore within LGBTQ movements their voices should be heard within it, is a discussion and a position Queer Kid Stuff, Linz, has made. A position I fundamentally disagree with. I could obviously insert children should be seen and not heard, but that's not the real reason. The real reason is that children should not be at these kind of events. in the first place. They are young, they are malleable, they are vulnerable. Their voices, of course, are important, but not on this subject, because this subject involves a lot of understanding and education, not enabling cause.
Whoa, that sounds so cool, Linz! Teddy and I have changed too. I came out as trans and non-binary and got gender-affirming surgery, and I have a lot more experience under my belt as a creator and person making queer stuff for kids.
Your lived experience, while vitally important to the discussion, is not appropriate in the context of what is or is not appropriate for children. It is you using an appeal to authority, which is a fallacy, to demonstrate that you should be the one to make the conversation happen. Again though, this conversation should not be happening with children, for children, about children. From time to time, the United Kingdom like to demonstrate their best science denier attitudes. However, when it comes to gender-affirming care and children, the UK is ahead of this one. I really hope LA catches up. And I separate LA because there are other places that aren't necessarily the entire United States that are in unison on this subject.
By backing our Kickstarter campaign, you'll get exclusive rewards like behind-the-scenes updates, digital downloads, awesome merch like temporary teddy tattoos.
On the Kickstarter, the reward tiers go all the way up to episode sponsorship. You have to pay $5,000 for that. You get executive producer credits at $2,500. At $1,000, you get Zoom Hangouts with Teddy and Linz, enamel pins, social justice stickers. The list really does go on. The highest backers are at the $250 mark, and they're the ones that get names on cards in the credits, enamel pins, behind the scenes updates. How exciting. I'm not here to judge those that want to back this content at all. I'm really not. I just find it hard to believe you're going to be able to hit your target without one very wealthy donor just swooping in and going, "Here you go, crack on."
It's gonna be so much fun!
I think I'd have more fun getting my prostate checked.